Hello, listeners. Mallory Wilsey here, Chief Producer of the Enrollify Network. So, everyone is talking about AI these days, but not enough people are taking the time to unpack how AI will impact the future of higher education. And that's why we launched the Generation AI podcast, co hosted by Artis Cadu, CEO of Element 451, and JC Bonilla, Chief Data Officer at VaynerMedia. Artis and JC have worked on large language models for nearly 2 decades and have remarkable technical knowledge around how they work and how generative AI will impact the future of higher ed. Generation AI isn't just about understanding artificial intelligence, it's about being part of the AI revolution in education. Tune in, get informed, and be inspired to innovate in your educational space with the power of artificial intelligence. You can subscribe to the show by visiting podcast.enrollify.org or just search Generation AI wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Talking Tactics, a podcast that gets you results. Each episode features a single tactic implemented with limited resources that moved the needle in enrollment in some way. I'm your host, Day Kibbilds, Strategy Director at Ology, a marketing and branding agency for education. Join me every other week for discussions with some of the most clever folks in admissions and enrollment marketing, doing the work day to day, just like you. Talking Tactics is a part of the Enrollify Network, a robust collection of podcasts designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites, linked in the show notes below. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered, all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Check them out at element451.com. My friends, hello. Day here, and welcome back to Talking Tactics. You know what I just realized? My episodes drop on Tuesdays. Tactic Tuesdays. I should make that a thing. Make sure you're subscribed so it can become a thing. On this Tuesday, we have Jeff Holeman. Jeff is going to talk to us about paid media, and he's going to share how he used AI optimizations and in-platform lead forms to increase leads by 196%, engagement by 103%, and reduce costs by 60%. I feel like these are all numbers we want. They're very impressive stats, and they're just like Jeff, who is also very impressive with over 25 years of experience in marketing and branding. He's currently leading marketing at the University of Florida's Warrington College of Business, and he's led marketing teams, communications teams, enrollment teams at UC Berkeley, Arizona State, Keene State College, and the University of Rochester, as well as in healthcare in a handful of states: Arizona, Colorado, California, Nevada, Wyoming, and Nebraska. Wow. Jeff believes that artificial intelligence and the simplest of best practices can really drive marketing results, which is a perfect fit for this show. That's what he's here to teach us. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I appreciate you having me on today.
I love these percentages that you shared. I love these kind of easy tweaks and hacks to just really get performance to skyrocket. Take us back in time to when this idea that we're going to talk about today was born. What were you trying to improve or solve for your operation?
When I started in this role about 7 months ago now, and I took a look at across all of our different tactics that we were undertaking. I looked at our performance, and in our digital marketing campaigns in particular, I felt like the performance really wasn't at the level where it needed to be, particularly compared to the significant spend. And as you know, there's pressure always on to provide the best return on the ad spend and to maximize the lead volume, particularly at the top of the funnel. Our admissions colleagues, they always want those great leads to follow up with. And for where we were spending the money and what kind of results we were getting, I just knew that something was off. And so I began to, kind of take a deeper look at what were the possibilities there. I noticed a couple other things. I was a little surprised we weren't using first-party data. Yet we had a wealth of data, and I knew that could help us improve our targeting. And I thought there was some opportunity in that space. And finally, strangest of all to me was that LinkedIn's low lead generation performance, it just felt counterintuitive.
Yeah, for a business school especially, right?
Yeah, exactly. Our paid marketing is exclusively aimed at the graduate level. We have about a
Yeah.
little over 8,000 students overall in the business college, and 2,000 of them are grad students. Those are business professionals who are using LinkedIn.
They're
But
on
why?
LinkedIn, just like the
Yeah.
rest of us.
So why was that performance lagging? That made no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it was really just perplexing to me.
Yeah.
And I began to have some dialogue with, we work with an ad agency, so I began to have some
Mhm.
dialogue with them as well, and really looking at some of the data that I had inherited and looking for gaps and looking for opportunities.
Yeah. So, what I love about this is that your idea started by looking at data, which is something that I honestly strongly recommend for everyone. Like, see how your things are doing and performing, and anything that doesn't feel right. Like you're saying, Jeff, it's counterintuitive. It's not where I thought it would be. Like, there's something to unpack there. Okay. So, you saw this, you noticed, you're like, this is a bit of a red flag for me. Uh, what, what idea did you come up with to fix it? What did you want to try?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the ideas. I mean, first off, I'd say I think just sort of came from a few places. I mean, some of it's just past experience. As you said, I've been doing this for a little bit of time, so I won't talk about how old I am, but a little bit of time there, and and some of it was really asking for increased focus and accountability and partnering a little bit closer with our agency. And for LinkedIn, I think part of it was utilizing the LinkedIn account rep to help us understand our options better. For me, it's all about being inquisitive and digging in, because that's really where you find the opportunities. Because sometimes things are staring you right in the face, Day, and you just don't realize that it's such a simple thing that you could do. So I, began asking those questions, and we felt like the greatest opportunity existed in taking advantage of what the advertising platforms themselves offer. And that was really in two areas, and that was, artificial intelligence informed lookalike or predictive audience modeling, really
Yeah.
utilizing our
Your
first
own
party
data.
data. Yeah,
Right.
and that was going to be the key thing. I knew that there was opportunity in that space, and it was validated by our platform representatives. And then the other thing was in platform lead forms. And that was really the idea. Those two things alone. I felt like if we really used those two things, we had the opportunity to just see some steady climb in better quality and better quantity in the leads that we were capturing.
Right. So the first lesson in that I love is, hey, work with your partners, folks. They're there to be your partners, right? Your platform partners, your agency partners. They're there for this, right? Ask them questions, ask for explanations, dig into the data, right? I think they welcome it. But the other thing I wanted to ask just before we move on and talk about some of this implementation, Jeff, for any listener who might not know what first party data is versus third party data or other forms of data, can you quickly explain that for them?
Mhm, sure. I think of the first party data is really, it's that data that you own, that you've already
You have
collected.
it.
Yeah, it's yours. You're not buying. A lot of people think about in lead generation, particularly in the graduate space, they often buy lists of test takers, for example. That'd be an example of third party data that wasn't yours. You went and got it from someone else, and you're using that. So the first party data is what you've already captured, you've collected, what you know about people who've raised their hand and said, "I'm interested."
Yes.
That they've somehow come into your sphere through interactions with various marketing tactics that you are already put in place.
And then the idea is you would use this with the combination of AI tools, perhaps, or other types of predictive tools to find people who look like them out there
Yes,
in the
that's
world. Right.
and traditionally what people thought about is those look-alike audiences, if you will, and now more and more people are talking about predictive targeting audience. I mean, even for example, I mean, LinkedIn has sunsetted their look-alike targeting feature and really moved to more predictive targeting only. And I imagine there's compliance issues behind somewhat why some of these folks are doing this. But look-alike audiences are not new; they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
What's nice about them now is a lot of the models, they work off of AI to really find the right people based on that list that we provide them. And so you
Yeah.
can take that list of data and you serve it to them, put it into the algorithm, and they're going to find someone who's most similar to it. And all of the ad platforms today have this. Like I said,
Yeah.
LinkedIn's made some changes. Meta's been doing it for quite a while, and Google has like new channels like Google Performance Max, which we switched over to for for display ads for some of our MBA programs, for example. And those are built on AI working to really serve that right ad to the right person at the right time across
Mm-hmm.
that Google ecosystem. But if you have the first party data, it really helps them do a much better job of finding the right people at the right time.
I feel like things are so much more sophisticated than when we used to be like, well, we need this zip code and this age range, and this is how we target people. Like, I feel like that's basic now. There's so much more powerful stuff to do now.
And sometimes it's as simple as having data for these predictive models like that, the age range or the zip codes. You don't need a lot of in-depth data to even do this. And we can talk a little bit more about that later and talk about some of the data we use. But that's what's so great about it is it's not that difficult. It's not as hard as people think it is.
Yeah, I think people hear data and paid media and platforms and AI, and some people might just be like, I can't, this is not for me. So, talk to us about how you actually made it happen to convince some of the listeners that anybody can do this.
Yeah. Well, first off, I'd say, I'm a firm believer that anyone can, and not everyone is blessed to have a great relationship with an ad agency. Not everyone even uses ad agency. Some folks can do it on your own. These platforms, they have incredible online help resources that tell you how to do this yourself. And it's really, if you can take the time and you can read through and you have enough of that knowledge to understand what these things mean, you can do it yourself. But if you have that agency, work with them. And then also, don't be scared to find out, okay, who's my rep with this platform versus this. Reach out to them and get them to help you. That's their job. I mean, you're
It
giving them
is.
money. Why aren't you using them? It's like, you have to find
Yeah.
them sometimes, but go find them and get them to work for you. Make them earn that money. So I throw that out there first. But in terms of how we implemented, I was fortunate that we have a great agency that we work with, and I love the way we actually roll up our sleeves and figure out, well, what's not working here and what could work better. And so working together, we came up with these different solutions. But really, the implementation, a lot of the onus was on me. And so
Hmm.
that really started with clarifying what data we needed from the ad platforms. And that was really critical for us to fully understand what was going to make the difference for us, what did they need, and then also cross-referencing that with compliance. Because working in
Right.
higher ed,
I
everything's about data
Yes.
secured, compliant.
That was going to be one of my questions. Like, how did you clear that hurdle? We'll get there.
Yeah, and it's and what's nice about it, at least from the predictive and lookalike audience, this is all FERPA compliant.
Hmm.
You're not sharing non-compliant personal information. You can
Right.
do it with as simple, what we use is simple things like the age range,
Hmm.
the degree program, city, zip,
Hmm.
things like that. We didn't share like, okay, this is Day, this is Jeff, and they did this. But
Hmm.
instead, we said these are the these are the we took 5 to 10 years worth of inquiry and our applicant data, and we fed that into the algorithm for each of our 18 to 20 graduate programs. And we put those kind of information that we just talked about, the simple, like, this is the degree program, this is the location where they were, here's the age range. And then the algorithm and the AI aspect of it, it goes out there and it finds someone that is very similar to that. And
Yeah.
that person is going to have enough in common with who the previous inquiry and applicant was, that they're going to begin to serve those ads up to them. And that's really where we saw the difference in it. My
Yeah.
advice is get as much data as you can provide. The more you can provide, the better. But there's always a legal and comfort level involved, and you're going to have to decide what works for your situation and for your organization. For me, I was very fortunate. I didn't get much pushback, honestly. I mean, at first I started in my college and asked, okay, what do I have to do to get this? The first,
Yeah.
the IT folks are like, are you crazy, Bob? What are you
Of
thinking? You
course.
can't
Of
do that.
course.
And we can't give you that data. You have to have permission. And said, okay, fine. Okay, let's go up the chain and find out who within
Let's
the
get
college can
permission, I
say
guess.
yes. Then we find someone within the registrar's office and legal, and it sort of got turfed back and forth. And I wouldn't say it was painful. It was doing your due diligence. You have to cover yourself. It just takes time. That's all. And that's probably the biggest lesson in the implementation is give yourself time and don't let the roadblocks derail you. If you stop every time you're told no, you're never going to get anywhere in marketing, particularly in
Because in
higher
higher
ed.
ed, you will always be told no first. We all know it. So you just have to keep asking until the answer is yes.
Exactly. For the lookalike predictive audiences, that's really where, the implementation was a little bit harder, but using like an in-platform lead gen, that's not difficult. That doesn't require anybody's, permission. That's just you working with the ad platform to set it up. And so we worked through our agency and said, okay, for example, we wanted to really move in the direction of utilizing these in-platform uh, legion. I had experience in the past doing that with both Meta and LinkedIn, and I
Hmm.
had success in both of those spaces. But interestingly, our agency had already tried with Meta, and they just weren't seeing the success. So they weren't very keen on going down that direction because they
Right.
didn't think that it was going to work for us and what they had done with other business schools. But yet they've had tremendous luck with LinkedIn. So we
Yeah.
had a conversation with our LinkedIn rep, and we said, "Look at our campaigns, see what's working, what's not. What is the problem?" Lo and behold, what do you think they came back and told us right away, Day? You're
The in-platform lead forms.
exactly big
I'm paying
opportunity.
attention, everyone.
Yeah, and predictive modeling using first party data. So that was super easy, and that was really the I think the implementation challenges, if you will, and just sort of going through the motions to get there.
Yeah. So let me ask you this about the data because it just sparked a thought in my mind when, we're trying to build these lookalike audiences using predictive AI modeling. Is there any difference you think between sharing a list of data of students who have already accepted, because they're like likely to convert versus students who are inquiries? Like, have you tried that? Is there a difference there? Am I overthinking it?
No, no, you're not at all. Actually, we talked about doing that, and that's actually one of the things we want to look at as we venture into some paid marketing for, I'd say, mid or low funnel, and that's
Hmm.
one of the things we are going to do. But really, our initial goal right now, Dave, was to try to focus more at the top of the funnel because
Hmm.
that's where we saw the biggest need. Because we
Hmm.
need to get, of course, more people in the funnel in order to begin to drive more applications and
Right.
so forth. But there is tremendous opportunity in that space. I mean, you're not going to have as much data as opposed because you always have more inquiries than you do applicants.
Right.
But yet, the challenge there is these algorithms with each platform. There's a threshold of how much data they need to make this work, and so how many individuals you're going to have. And so if you don't have enough applicants, it's going to be hard for them to spit this out and say, okay, here's your lookalike audience, if you will. And so you're going to have to you'll have to go back further. But I just have this theory: there's probably a point of diminishing returns as you're going to go back so far. How much we did 5 to 10 years, and I was worried about the 10-year part, but we had to do that on some of our programs that were a little bit smaller. But if you start going back more than 10 years, how much do they have in common with today's student? So I think you're going to run into some problems if you start doing that too deep in the funnel.
Graduate marketing in general, I feel, is so program driven, right? It's for the MBA and for the Masters of Finance and for the accounting. When you feed the platform with this data, are you doing an aggregate, this is our business school pool, or are you doing it program by program?
We did it program by program. So that took a little bit
Yeah.
longer for us to get the data. So I had to say, here's every degree that I'm doing
Yeah.
paid marketing for. And like I said, we have about, with the various versions, if you will, of MBA. I mean, even though MBA is technically one degree, we have nine MBA platforms. So, it's like altogether, it's like 18 to 20, depending on how many campaigns we're running. So it took a little bit longer for us to get the data. You also, you don't have to do it for all programs. I just said, let's just rip the band-aid off. I'm all about going big. I'm like, let's just
Go
do it.
big,
Come on.
go home.
Yeah. Go big, go home. And we did. And we were able to make that happen. I don't know
Okay.
how it would work to drive the leads that you want if you did it as a college or school. It seems like to me you're not going to get quite unless you're just trying to generate
Like
leads generally
awareness.
for
Yeah.
awareness. But we were really trying to get leads for specific graduate programs.
I guess one of the biggest roadblocks with the first party data, which is permission, and you cleared it, and that's great. The lesson for our listeners is start with plenty of time. Did you face any hurdles for the implementation of the in platform forms? And in particular, I'm thinking about after you get your leads, how do you load them into your CRM? What does your follow up process look like? Did you lose any continuity there with your information?
Yeah, so that's been like one of our challenges that we're still trying to address, and it's really it's an issue of not the ability to do it. It's just an issue of when are we going to take the step to build in the integrations to make it happen, because
Yes.
that's just time and then and a little bit of money. So for instance, the in-platform leads for LinkedIn, I mean, they took off right away and they were working. And so suddenly we're like, oh, well, wow. And we're a Salesforce environment. We were just taking flat files, and we get those regularly from from our partner. They come into us, we load them in, and then we put them into our standard drip campaigns for the different programs of interest that they indicated. Say, hey, I'm interested in full-time MBA. So they went right into an MBA campaign. So it's a manual process. We're looking at some integration aspects to make this work. Salesforce doesn't have a built-in integration feature for at least what we're working on. What previously used to be known as Pardot. Salesforce changes its
Yeah.
program names every 10
Yes.
minutes. So we're on Pardot, and there's not a native integration between LinkedIn and that. You can use a third-party solution like Zapier and just make the connection there. So that Zap can tie it in. So that's what we're looking at right now, and we're just
Yeah.
going through the motions to get that approved and get that put in place. So there's ways to do it. So be patient, give yourself time, and know that you're going to have to do some things manually until you have that integration put in place.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I'll a little plug for our previous episode on the show, which dropped right before this one 2 weeks ago. It's all about some of those Zapier integrations and then generating automatic immediate messages from your CRM to those leads. So this episode with you, Jeff, and that previous episode are going to be just incredible together.
Yeah. Well, you can tag team the marketing of it all,
Yeah, perfect.
as
Just
you use
perfect.
LinkedIn yourself and find your own predictive modeled audience, and I'm expecting to see an in-platform lead gen form on your LinkedIn ads.
Immediately it's going to happen.
Yes. So
we hinted a little bit at the results, right? Really impressive at the beginning of the show. Can you walk us through what you actually saw? What changed right away? What took some time? What are your big wins with these implementations?
Sure. So, our campaign KPIs, nothing terribly shocking there that you would think. We're primarily looking at across three different categories. I mean, just general, impressions, awareness. Then we're
Mm-hmm.
looking at engagement through clicks and click-through rates. Conversions, which is for us is all about RFI lead form completion. And then we're looking at costs, cost per click, cost
Of
per
course.
lead. So, the for engagement, when we really looked at our click through rate and clicks, I mean, we saw tremendous growth. It was a little over 100% increase. In this, I looked at this at the 6 month mark. So our fiscal year starts July 1. So I looked from July 1 to the end of December, and I compared that to the previous year. And so year over year, we were up 103.4% for the engagement categories.
Wow.
Can I say 100% that was just because of the predictive modeling? I think a huge part of it, as well, we made some changes on our messaging.
Right.
And I mean, honestly, even using, AI and various data that we had and some market research and some best practices, some competitive analysis to look at, okay, where's our lane that we need to be in for messaging? So I know that helped too, but
Mm-hmm.
the engagement part was driven by that. The leads was really where we just had just incredible results. I mean, it was at that one point we were up 196%.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah, it was unbelievable how well we had done. And that was a mid-year report, and leads, but they've leveled off a little, but we're still 120% year to date. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just incredible. And I'm so satisfied with that aspect. There's a little bit of the predictive modeling, and there's a little bit of the in-platform thing, particularly within, LinkedIn, because that's
Yeah.
really where we were doing that. And with LinkedIn, it's hard for me to say that it was one or the other, but certainly we saw within LinkedIn alone 3 times as many leads in that time period, and a 5 times decrease. We went from like $716 per lead to about $132 per
Oh
lead
my
in
gosh.
LinkedIn. And
Oh
so
my
that was
gosh.
incredible. I mean, some of our leads in LinkedIn, I was my jaw dropped when I saw my first few reports. I mean, there were some of the degree programs and categories that were over $1,000, and I was like, oh my god! And
Wow.
obviously, there weren't a lot of leads there, and so it just said we have to do something, and
Yeah.
it was overall we're down 60% for all of our programs. In terms for cost, yes, the cost is down that much, and so to get those kind of results, what it said to me is it's just sticking to your gut and knowing what works, going with your gut, doing the little things. And that's what we're talking about. I mean, it's talking tactics. It's using those little tactics that make all the difference in the world. And don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be scared of advancements and technologies, and leaning into your partner. And that's what drove these results today. I mean, I don't feel like it was anything that I came up with that was brand new and something so out there. It was just leaning on your
Leaning in.
expertise and what
Yeah.
works.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect closing for the episode, because it's the ethos of this show. There are little things you can do today that are going to have these big, big impacts on your operation, on your results, on your KPIs, on your ultimate enrollment goals. So thank you, Jeff. That was a wonderful closing. And thanks for sharing the tactic with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. I didn't mean to steal your thunder there and take
Oh,
your
no,
clothes.
no. You know what? If all my guests did that I would love that. If folks want to contact you and ask more, where can they find you?
Sure. Easy for email. It's jholeman@ufl.edu, or look on LinkedIn. Be glad to connect with you on LinkedIn. Great platform, and let's continue to use it. It's a great way to network. Look forward to connecting with those who want to learn more about the small things they could do.
The small things, the small tactics. And your LinkedIn, Jeff, will be linked in the show notes. So for folks looking to connect, just click right on it. And it's time for you to go out there, start using your own data, start finding your lookalikes, use the in-platform lead forms, because as Jeff showed us, the results can be incredible. And if you want to keep walking the walk and talking the tactics, remember to subscribe so you get all new episodes right in your feed as soon as they drop. Bye! The Talking Tactics podcast is part of the Enrollify podcast network. If you like this podcast, chances are you'll like other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing by the month, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher ed technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks, all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our shows help higher ed marketers and admissions pros find their next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's bests as your hosts, like Jamie Hunt, Allison Tercio, Jenny Lee Fowler, Jeremy Tiers, and so many of your other favorite leaders in higher ed too. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered, all-in-one student engagement platform, helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Check them out at element451.com.